I just represent one of the most high-tech constituencies in the country. And I let myself badly down by not turning the microphone on. So yeah, I was saying basically, I know Brexit will come up in questions, and that's inevitable, and of course I'm very happy to answer questions at the end, but I wasn't going to take too much of my sort of introductory remarks talking about the state of play, because I'm sure you'll ask me later. Really today is about explaining to my constituents why I decided to resign from the Conservative Party and help to start the new group of the independent group, or the TIGAs as we've become known. And apologies to you as constituents, I'm sure you'd appreciate the reasons why, but why I couldn't let you know before I did it. Because A, it's one of those things that you take an awful long time to come to the conclusion, and when is the right time to do it. I suppose if it's helpful, I'll go back a little bit. Most of you probably know this or have a sense of it anyway. I came to politics very late in life. I had never been politically engaged at all, if I'm honest. I was busy running my business with my husband, Phil. And when I entered the world of politics, it was a simple thing. I wanted to serve my country. I'd never been a member of a political party. I didn't really know very much about it at all. But you'll know, and forgive me if you've heard this before, but it was the Tottenham riots. I remember just being really exercised about what I was seeing on the news night after night and what on earth was happening to our country, and our economy was on its knees. And I just felt, well, I've got some skills, I must be able to help. And I chose the Tory party, I suppose principally because I came from a business background, because they seemed to me to be the party of economic and financial expertise, trusted, small state, pragmatism, able to make difficult decisions, even in the face of challenging priorities. Always seemed like a sensible, business-minded party and open to the world, really outward and open to the world. And I have to say, when I arrived, I was pretty shocked when I got in Westminster and discovered that, well, here's a bit of paper, Heidi, could you read the speech out, please? That'd be really helpful. And the Secretary of State would be very grateful if you could ask this question. And I found it really peculiar. I mean, it's fair to say that all the parties behave like that, but I found it really strange that nobody asked us on day one, so where are you from? What's your background? What's your skills? It was just this machine that you're sucked into and told how to behave. And the fact that people got promoted based on quiet loyalty rather than necessarily being the best people for the job, or somebody who had expertise in defence or education or whatever it might be. And just this tribal nature, adversarial style first, and that actually it wasn't about finding the right idea that was best for the country, it's about who won and who could bully their point of view across most forcefully. But I realised very quickly that it was all the parties that behaved like this. So I didn't like it, but I kind of accepted it, and I realised that I would just have to find a different way of getting things done, and that I would therefore never be promoted. But that was okay, and I kind of settled into it. But I suppose Brexit changed everything, really. That and the 27 general election manifesto, which exposed really, really deep rifts in the Tory party, which, if I'm honest, I probably was a little bit naive to. And what shocked me most was that at this time of national crisis, 52-48 is not a big margin by any measure. Losing your majority and becoming a minority government is not regular politics. So if ever it needed a government and a Prime Minister to reach out, to compromise, to listen, to get different points of view, to make sure that whatever happened next was in the national interest. And both those results, the referendum and the manifesto, the general election campaign in 2017, suggested to most people that you're not the ones in charge anymore, you need to work more collaboratively. And I think poor leadership exacerbated the problem, and the ERG, the right-wing anti-EU part of the party, and our confidence and supply agreement with the DUP, which most of you all know I found very distasteful. Blatant buying political control for using taxpayers' money, £1 billion, to buy power. And I didn't like that at all at the time. And it seemed that every time the Prime Minister hit a bump in the road, couldn't proceed forward with a negotiating strategy, it was the ERG and the DUP she ran to every single time. And those of us that the moderate voices, business voices, suddenly we weren't the people in town anymore, and our opinions weren't sought. And we watched and we waited and we tried for 2 years, everything we could do, talking to the Prime Minister one-to-one, talking to the Chief Whip, talking to the Secretary of State, debates in the House of Commons, PMQs, trying to get the Prime Minister back to the centre ground where we felt we needed to be, not for the Tory party, but for the country, because we somehow had to get through this Brexit difficulty. And time and time and time again we failed. And then the penny drops at some point, doesn't it? And you realise you're the ones on the outside now. So in answer to the by-election question, which I'm sure people will ask me, the simple point is, I didn't leave the Tory party, it left me. It left us. Because I hadn't changed my values. When did the Tory party suddenly decide that no deal and potentially risking the economy? How, this week, the Tory party whipped for no deal. Let's hear that again. Conservative Party, the party of economic confidence and business, whipped for no deal. I mean, we are in a different world now. And those sorts of dawning realisations, which take you a little while, I think, to kind of join the dots in your head, but it just made us realise that actually this isn't the party anymore. The ERG have won, and the party that was the broad church, that wanted moderate and more liberal views and open to the world and interested in compromise and pragmatism, that had gone. It had become this right-wing ideology. So for me, that meant it was over. And I suppose also that speaking practically, Brexit, the clock's running down, and we are running out of time. So, you look to yourself in any difficult situation as an MP, right, what tools have I got? What have I got left in my armoury? Actually, I've got this one left. And I'll come to talk on about the independent group and what we hope to achieve. We might fail. I could be out of a job at the next election. I absolutely understand that. And some of you will give me that opinion, I'm sure, and that might happen. But the point is, I believe it's worth fighting for something different or something better. And it's me that will be out of a job. So anybody that thinks I'm doing this for my own ends or my own career is misguided, because that's not the case at all. So it was the only tool we had left in our armoury, and it's already had effect. Labour have worried that they'd suddenly lost 8 of their MPs, have come off or starting, we keep thinking they're off the fence, but then they keep going back on it together a little bit, but pushing towards a second referendum, which is in their national policy. Some of the Remain Tory ministers finally got off the fence, although we literally had to drag them there to enable us to get no deal off the table this week. So we have had an effect already. As I say, I will take, I'm sure, more questions from me about Brexit, but I just wanted to touch on the other big reason for me why I had reached the end of the road. And it will be well known to everyone, I'm sure, that I've sat on the Work and Pension Select Committee since 2015 and fought hard for improvements to our welfare system, to universal credit in particular. And we've had 6 secretaries of state with the biggest spending government department that cares for the most vulnerable people in society. You need the DWP when you're on your uppers. And yet such flippancy in how it treated that department that it could have 6 secretary of states going through it. An austerity, we can have that conversation. There is no doubt whatsoever we had to get the debt and the deficit down. But it's about priorities, isn't it? It's whether you think HS2 or planning for a no-deal Brexit is more important than allowing people who are at the very, very bottom of society struggling to make ends meet. And for me, it was that lack of awareness and care for people who are really struggling, and that the government wouldn't open their eyes. In fact, most of you will know I started it before I resigned. We're going on a tour of the UK with Frank Field, who's the chair of the Select Committee, unashamedly taking cameras with us, because I wanted the government to see it. They could ignore me in the House of Commons, they could ignore me in the Select Committee, but they can't damn well ignore me if I take a camera to a food bank with me. It's pretty primitive stuff. But that's where I found myself having to operate. And that's why I was in Glasgow yesterday. So Anna Soubry, Sarah Wallace and myself and 8 Labour colleagues. Brexit was the catalyst, it was the thing that brought us together and found ourselves in meeting rooms at the same time, but we all had our own individual straws, our own camel's backs. And I think for Sarah, without a doubt, it was the NHS, being a doctor herself, and chair of the Health Select Committee and Social Care. We still don't have that green paper. That was the heart of the car crash that was the manifesto in 2017. What on earth are we going to do to cope with an ageing population and fund it? No plans are still put forward for that. And it's the weird thing about us gang of 11. We quite like each other. somebody in the pub or in a restaurant, is the first thing you say to them, how do you vote? Before I can decide if you're going to be my friend or not. I mean, life just isn't like that, is it? But these tribal political ideologies that we've grown used to force you into policy positions that might not be something you agree with, might not be something that's the best for the country, but it's the way the system has always been. You know, business, you don't behave like that. You don't check what colour rosette you're wearing. It's right, how can we compromise? What's your idea on that? What's your idea? And we have a genuine belief that if between us, coming from different backgrounds as we do, if we can knock policy around and find compromise, there's a pretty good chance that that's the centre ground of British politics too, and that most people in the UK are looking for compromise also. Because it's a crazy idea, isn't it? What if a political party built its manifesto by listening to evidence and experts? How wild would that be? Rather than these Westminster machines. Just imagine if we did that. A party that puts the right solution for the country as its goal. I think that's kind of why I got into politics. I actually feel now more than ever that I'm doing the job I thought I was signing up to do when I decided to get into politics. And Brexit will be a catalyst for more MPs. We've heard this morning that Nick Bowles has now also resigned. Whether he'll come across to us, I don't know. He resigned part of it this morning. A lot of very, very uncomfortable Labour MPs when they forced the issue on the People's Vote this week. I can think of at least half a dozen in the Tory party which are seriously considering putting it across. You know, we've been to the Electoral Commission. That was a bit of a gulp moment. Little old me, some of my friends sitting around the table at the Electoral Commission talking about what we needed to do to set up a new political party. How did that happen? Turns out we can't use the word independent, so you're going to have to leave Nick Carpen to come up with a name. It's difficult. There's about 400 parties out there you've never heard of, you know, Fish Finger Man and all the rest of it, but you can't be confused on the ballot paper with anybody else, so independent. And we're going to launch the Better Politics project, so hashtag Better Politics is our kind of deadline at the moment. We're going to get a bus. And I know sometimes that hasn't always ended well. It's going to have no prizes down the side, it's definitely not going to be red. But we're going to travel the country. And we're going to build manifesto from the ground up. We are going to have policy events all over the country. Education, health, where we'll attract and invite experts, academics, business professionals, people that live in the third sector. And I'll tell you a little secret now. You'll need to edit this bit out the camera because it's quite embarrassing. But so we're designing this presentation as a gang, and we're kind of right, how are we going to do it? How are we going to put this together? We've got these very strategic Venn diagrams of the sorts of people we want to come along to. We've got experts, academics, and then the other Venn diagram is normal informed people. I think that's you. I think you're normal informed people. So normal informed people, evidence and experts, are going to help us build this manifesto from the ground up. And that's why I suppose, eager though everybody is for us to form, but the majority of people are for us to form this party, like now, we want to get it right, because otherwise if we pull out a manifesto, here's one we made earlier, then without even realising we're going to be like everybody else. There's people ask the question about if we end up with European elections anytime soon. Well, you know, as a party, we're just not going to be ready in time. But can we maybe have some candidates who are endorsed by us, or something like that, independent candidates? So that's something we're looking at. So today really is about letting you know where we're up to, why I did what I did, and I expect plenty more questions from you about why I made the decision I did. But also, you know, I'd like today to start, if I can, to build a team. Because I need you. This is starting from nothing. There is no machine. There was no Tony Blair, no David Miliband, and I know you'll be very disappointed to hear this, but David Cameron is not on board. This is literally starting again. No infrastructure. And the question is, you know, it's a bit David and Goliath, isn't it? And all the odds and all the political and academic papers talk about the SVP and what happened last time, and we're bound to fail, and we might fail. But right here, right now, with our country and the mess that it is, it has exposed the inadequacies of the old party system to deal when the country faces the biggest challenges it ever has. And I'm prepared to try and build something better. And I will be there. Thank you.